of the hypocrisy that made the plantations work. Racism becomes the necessity or the justification for the economics of the plantation.
Don't miss it. Chapter 1.
You got to chew it to count it for eating.
And you have to smile and act like it's so good.
Just as good as I can do. All right, Devin, that's enough beer.
Black people who gained political power during America's Reconstruction between 1868 and 1880s, they sought to address systemic inequality of black folk in the 1800s through debt relief, redistribution, not just black folk, black and white folk. By 1868, the former president founded Livingston College, had coordinated with the white ministers, and had rewritten North Carolina State's Constitution.
Because they were talking about how he does like a 6 a.m. and 5 a.m. and get up early and do work. He also talks about having a space to just stay. Get over there by James.
Of police, the city of Winston-Salem. And our youngest HBCU is North Carolina Central University. Legends are Mr. Roderick G. Allison, attorney, comedian, and musician. Mr. Kevin Holloway, retired corporate executive and consultant. And Dr. Elwood Robinson, Chancellor, Winston-Salem State University. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2019 Historically Black Colleges and Universities Living Legends, each a phenomenal trailblazer. Let's give them a hand. Please remain standing and all
And so to undo the Reconstruction, a group came along and called themselves the Redemption. And I went back and read some of what they said, and they said, we have to redeem America and make it great again. I don't know why y'all so excited. It's 1800. By someone who came through the doors of an HBCU. And the graduates, when they graduated, they didn't graduate. Many of them were not taught to graduate just to get a job. And so for instance, you get somebody like a Dr. Henry, who's an MD in Mississippi. He's also a civil rights leader. Willing to put his life on the line. Way after the civil rights movement, because the civil rights movement wasn't ended, it was assassinated. They shot our brother Megan, and our brother Malcolm, and our brother Martin, and so many others. The movement was murdered. It never finished. And then racism evolved. You got Richard Nixon's 1968 presidential campaign, in which Kevin Phillips said, I know how you can win. Find out how to pit people against one another. But we can lock up the South. Now, they started this in 1969. 50 years in 2019. That's why Neil Painter said, don't you ever say that what we're seeing now is somehow an anomaly. She said, this is the iconography of a too often repeated American reality. Now, as Richard Nixon was building, Martin Luther King invited poor black, poor white, poor brown, Native people and Jews to come together across racial lines. He formed the Poor People's Campaign. He said, he showed how in the South, particularly the urban class, the wealthy class that wants to rob the democracy can't rob the democracy if black and white folk are working together. The only way they can rob the democracy through tax cuts is to get black and white folk pitted against one another. And he said, and use racism as a psychological bird to feed the hungry stomach of whites rather than recognize that if they build coalition with black and white people, they can in fact build economic power. He said, and every time there is the possibility, listen, every time there is the possibility for black and white and brown people to work together, the tonality, the sound, and the instrumentation of racism will increase. Every time the possibility of building a diverse electorate is possible, you will hear more. You will hear more. And so King was shot. And why would I bring this up, Paul? If you've been to a good HBCU, which they all are in their own way, you keep hearing this commonplace, y'all listen to TV, the CNN stuff, this commonplace for these commentators. I wish they would put Mendez on to somebody. And they say, American, oh God, my God, it's so bad. The politics today, we wish so that we could get back to when we didn't have polarization. And we wish that we could do it and just get rid of all these words about racism and all this cultural dislike. And they lament for a time in this nation when race was act as though the current president is racist and that's something new. George Bush ran, and I ain't talking Democratic Republican, I'm talking history. And forgive me if I read in the library. George Bush, when he ran for Congress the first time, literally said, I'm running to represent the 86%. That's why I'm against the Civil Rights Act that protects the 14%. Ronald Reagan began his presidential campaign in Philadelphia, Mississippi, where Swanton and Goodman were killed and deliberately used racism. Like, we just didn't hear it like that because CNN and stuff wasn't around the way it is today. So Woodrow Wilson played Birth of a Nation in the Oval Office as a policy director 100 years before Bannon was in the office with Trump. And yesterday, so-called liberals and conservatives, they expressed their desire to get back to a less chaotic days before Donald Trump. But Donald Trump's presidency did not create America's racial divide. It may have exploited the tactics that were developed alongside the racist policies and ideas that emerged first from American slavery through Jim Crow, through the Southern strategy up until today. We are seeing the fruit of those tactics. And if we understand that, and there is a coalition of institutions that know that history, then that means that HBCUs, their students and scholarship have to focus now and help America out of this mess. home so bad that the children have to wear CPAP machines at 9 years old. I've been with white coal miners in West Virginia and Kentucky who shared with us how they're living with their back against the wall. They have black lung, and the politicians cut deals with the corporation that took away their union rights. I stood because of Brother Mendez with the elders of the Apache Nation who wept because their state's U.S. Senator, before he died, sold land rights under to their most sacred holy site to give a copper company the right to drill copper, but to poison their water tables. I've been in Kansas and I've heard farmers, white farmers, tell stories of how there are farmers that are so messed up right now that they will deliberately throw themselves in the combines and kill themselves so it looks like murder, but it's actually suicide because they want the life insurance to go to their family so they can live. And I've been in the room with them and indigenous people and undocumented immigrants all over this country. But out of this pain, like in the second Reconstruction, there is a third Reconstruction happening. And people are coming together. And people are recognizing that we got to deal with these 5 interlocking injustices. This one about racism, we got to stop saying that it's new. Richard Spencer, who almost finished Duke University, the white nationalist, said that Trump was his man because of his stance against Latinos, because white nationalists believe that injustice to the immigrants is the first proxy war to stop the coming black, brown, and progressive white coalition that's going to exist in America by 2045.